Huang. I'm with People Power Solar Cooperative. We exist to enable everyone to own and shape our energy future. And what does that really mean? I think I really wanted to just first ground ourselves by thinking about if you want to solve a problem, you have to understand the problem first. And I want to bring a favorite quote of late Al Weinreich, who loves quoting Einstein, who says that if you want to solve a problem, you cannot use the same mentality where it created the problem. You have to use a different mentality to solve the problem. And so first I want to just briefly mention, you can see on the screen here and there's a pyramid that's in front of us. That is the system and society we live in today. We're talking about extraction, exploitation, and control. We live on the ground, we're living our best lives, or as best as we can, but at the same time, we have fossil fuel built in our backyard. We have constant manipulation and control of how our energy resource is generated, controlled, governed, and consumed. So how do we actually make decisions to actually create a future that is for the people, by the people, so that we're not just a target for more extraction? So I'm just talking about problem right now. Stepping into what is exciting about the future and the revolution is the opportunity for us to step into that future so we can all shape it together. What does co-governing looks like? What is all of us coming together beyond just as consumer? Say no to being treated as just a consumer, but really understanding us as participant and shaper of the future. And that's what we do at People Power Solar Cooperative. Despite not having a community solar law that works in the state of California, we're able to build the first ever rooftop solar that is owned by the community through a cooperative ownership. So that's create possibility and pathways for folks to come together so that we can break away from this pyramid. And I'm so excited to be here with amazing panelists here. So I just
next thank you, Crystal. That's really exciting. Thanks for teeing things up for us. Next we'll talk with Cisco and Freeze.
The biggest barrier is the lack of imagination that we all have and our policymakers have. How do we then work together to shape that future? And a lot of that lack of imagination to me and to a lot of people that we work with in the climate justice, environmental justice movement is around the fact that we cannot imagine a future that is different from what I live in today in my privileged world. And so when we're talking about climate emergency, now this is an emergency 200 years ago for so many indigenous people. So how are we actually listening to and imagining a world that is different from what I know in the several decades that I live in this planet, but really thinking about what has been happening in the past generations from the ancestors and my neighbors and my relatives? How are we working together to figure out what that future looks like? So I will be a little more explicit now to say that when we're talking about investment into the communities, how do we stop constantly throwing money at the same thing over and over again, throwing money at technology? When are we going to put money into the people? How are we going to invest into people who are going to use the technology? The key thing here is not the technology only. The key thing here is how are we organizing ourselves as humans so we're breaking out of our boxes of our homes so we can work together in neighborhoods, in blocks, in communities, in states, in regions, in countries, and all of humanity. So we can ground everything we do around human rights and human dignity. Everything that we see right now in climate disaster, in all of the ills that we see outside on the streets with homelessness, with the immigration crisis at the border, with people being bombed and literally murdered with our own taxpayer money, with murders that's happening all across the globe. They are all connected. So how are we putting money into the hands of the communities so we can actually start solving the problem in the communities that's hurt front and first and worst? We're talking about investing into the communities and environmental justice communities. I've been in so many panel discussions where we're talking about the energy future. And it's all about these great technology, which is really awesome, it's cool, but where are the people? And then we have another track about fossil fuel, and that's where the people are. Why can't we talk together? How can we actually talk about the future and revolution so we can actually build together? And that is the barrier. In these conversations that I've experienced about energy future, yes, technology is important. Yes, policy is important. But how are we actually investing into the people so we can understand these things, to design these things together, so we can break, again, out of the boxes of our homes, so we can work together as communities, and really not looking at ourselves as just consumers. We are not just consumer, yes, the next day we'll be producer, but what more? What if we can shape the future that we want to see? We're literally at this exciting moment to shape the future of our energy and the future of our society. What are we doing to change that? These are questions I wanted to invite you all to think about throughout the day and throughout the rest of the work that you do. Really think about how are we being revolutionary and really move out of the box of consumer and think about how can we actually invest in the people so we can shape things together. And that's the barrier.
This is an opportunity. And with the net metering fight, we woke so many people up. With the rooftop solar fight, woke so many people up, and more needs to be happening. So we're talking about how can we actually shift the narrative into talking not just about affordability, yes, resiliency, yes, sustainability, yes, all that, but where can we be in control? Looking at that pyramid, how can we actually put the control into our own hands? So we can really talk about a vibrant rooftop energy. We're talking about distributed energy generation that is where we are, not far, far away. Talking about strengthening the grid today. Talking about access to data and of the work that how we consume, so we can actually be more conscious about it. How do we actually have transparency about how utilities are doing things so we can keep them accountable? All of these things are opportunities for us to have control, and these are amazing, amazing bills that we really need to all support, but we need to do more. We need to do more around how then can we take back control instead of, yes, somebody will take care of it and it can sit back and not worry about it again, because as the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. So how do we always participate beyond just a consumer? How do we look at a vibrant rooftop solar? How do we look at access to transparency and also access to our own data? Be a tool for us to be empowered and to be in control. And these are the exciting opportunities happening, and so great to be here, to be in this movement with you to start this revolution. Amazing.